What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Blue Line Patriots. So today we're going to be talking about the Hellcat Pro. Today's video is basically just going to be an update video. I officially hit 1,300 rounds with this pistol here, and it's still holding up great. Now, first thing and foremost, if this is the only video of mine you've ever watched, I will say that I had 3 malfunctions in the very beginning. It might have been the first 300 rounds or so. Had 3 malfunctions. 2 of them did not surprise me. 2 of them, or well, 1 of them was critical defense, and I think 1 was critical carry, or they were both critical defense, or they were both critical carry. I'm not 100% sure. That's Hornady ammunition. They did not surprise me. I have always had malfunctions and issues with Hornady critical defense and Hornady critical carry. The only type of ammo I've never had any problems with, or the only gun I've never had problems with that in, is my, what's it called? My Ruger SP-101, and that's a revolver. But they seem to always have some sort of either feeding issue or extraction issue. I don't know what it is, but I've always had problems with that type of ammo. So anyway, I had 2 malfunctions with that type of ammo, and then I had 1 more malfunction with a brass case full metal jacket round. I don't know what grain it was, and I don't know what round was in the gun before that. So it could have possibly been another Hornady round in there. And then that just did something and bobbled the feeding of the actual full metal jacket round, because I've only ever had 1 issue with a full metal jacket round, and that was that. And the reason I say that is because that day when I was at the range, I was mixing my rounds up, you know, bullet soup basically, to try and get this thing to malfunction. And like I said, I am not surprised when Hornady critical defense or Hornady critical carry jam a gun up, because that's just been my luck my entire shooting career. So anyway, out of 1,300 rounds, I had 3 malfunctions. 2 of them did not surprise me. 1 of them did surprise me. The 2 were the Hornady, and the 1 was the full metal jacket. Anyway, we're all caught up on malfunctions. Other than that, guys, this gun has run perfectly fine. I mean, I don't know what to say about it, really, other than it just, as far as its dependability, it's a very dependable gun. 1,300 rounds, like I said, 3 bobbles, can't complain, right? So anyway, yesterday I went to the range. I fired 200 rounds. 100 rounds was the WPA Polyformance steel case ammo full metal jacket rounds. That's this stuff right here. 50 rounds was the MagTech full metal jacket, 115 grain, and 50 rounds was the 124 grain full metal jacket arms core ammunition. This is just cheap shit, whatever. I mean, so is that, whatever. And actually, so is this. They're all kind of reasonably priced ammo, especially for getting out to the range and plinking and doing some training. But anyway, I don't like this stuff at all. Actually, I guess I'm semi-okay with this stuff if it's in like a longer barrel, like out of my B&T GHM9. Then the heavier round stuff I actually like. With my full-size duty pistol, my M&P 2.0, I like a heavier round out of that. But when it comes to the Hellcat Pro, I'm just sticking with 115 grain stuff. For me, 115 grain stuff fires and recoils and all that stuff just fine. I've heard 2 people say this so far, that the heavier ammunition fires smoother. I don't know what that's about. They say, oh, the 115 grain ammo is real snappy, and the 124 or the 147 grain stuff is less snappy. I don't understand what the hell anybody's talking about when they say that. Because to me, and I might be ignorant here, so please enlighten me if I'm missing something, but to me, the heavier round has always recoiled more. To me, snappy means recoil. So unless snappy means something else, and if so, please enlighten me. So I think these 2 people I've heard so far say that the 115 grain stuff is more snappy than the heavier grain stuff. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm very confused on this. the heavier shit recoils more for me. The lighter shit doesn't recoil so much. So I fire a lot of 115 grain ammo through this because it's way more manageable, because it's less snappy to me. Like, I don't know, guys. So anyway, if I'm missing something, please enlighten me in the comment section. But it's been my experience my entire life that heavier rounds recoil more, lighter rounds recoil less. Anyway, so to me, I like to shoot the 115 grain stuff through this, but the reason that I fired the heavier arms core stuff through this is because I ended up doing a trigger job on this. Not necessarily, I don't really want to call it a trigger job, but I changed the, and I'll put a picture of what I'm talking about here. I think I have the trigger spring kit or whatever that I got. So anyway, I ended up changing out some components on the inside of this, the sear spring, the safety, the firing pin safety, that little plunger that goes back and forth. I ended up changing out a couple of those things, you know, and it's actually, it lightened the trigger up a lot. It went from 7 pounds to 5, basically 4.5. When I first changed this, I'm going to roll in some B footage of me doing the thing. All right, clear and safe, whatever. The only reason I'm clear and safing, guys, is because I'm going to do a pull test with you, just to show you that this clearly isn't the stock system anymore. All right, so I have this little cheapo from Amazon, whatever. It's better than nothing. But anyway, I'm consistently getting 5 pound. Well, when I first changed it out, I was getting 4.5. But now I seem to consistently be getting 5 pounds. That's just a little over 5 right there. I'm going to try and focus it a little bit better. A little over 5. Typically, it's breaking exactly at 5, or for whatever reason, sometimes exactly at 5.5. I'm not too sure what that's about. It might just be me pulling it inconsistently. But, I mean, now, like I said, went from a 7 pound pull to a little bit above. So there's 2 in a row, just slightly above 5 pounds. So I shedded about 2 pounds off the trigger pull. Now, when I first changed this out, when I first did the spring swap and whatnot, I was getting 4.5 pretty consistently, but I did not want to do the update video on the trigger system itself because I wanted to get some live rounds downrange to really do it justice. Because the thing is, you know, you change some springs, you change some stuff. You know, you could dry fire it and, oh, the trigger definitely feels better now. That's cool. But then when you get to the range, it might be a different story. So I wanted to actually get live rounds downrange, at least 200, and that's what I did. I fired 200 rounds with this new trigger setup before I said anything about it. And I will say that I would recommend it, but I'll also say is that the trigger on this just out of the box is just fine, with a caveat. If this is the only pistol that you're firing, like say you only have this pistol and you go to the range and you work with it and blah blah blah, then I'd say don't change your trigger out. Just get good, get lethal, get effective with it, get surgical with it. You can definitely do that, especially within, I'd say about within 20 yards. You're probably not going to have any issue with that trigger if you get out there and you train with it. I personally fired, I want to say, I fired 1,100 rounds with the stock trigger the way it was, and I was doing very decent. I will say I was doing very decent. I definitely could have improved, but I was doing very decent with my groupings, you know, with my fundamentals, all that. And so I will say you could definitely get there. Now, since I changed out the springs and the sear, or some springs and some components internally in here, I will say that the trigger pull is much lighter. So what that does is it gives me less of this going on. I'm exaggerating, but it's giving me less of this going on when I'm you know, ready to let a round off. So it's much smoother. I get way less of that. So I will say that the trigger upgrade was definitely a good thing for me. I noticed I got way accurate, way quicker. So basically, everything out to 15 yards, I'm basically hitting inside of this MagTech box repetitively. And as a matter of fact, I'd even go ahead and make it about that much. So I was probably getting a 3-inch group at 15 yards with this new trigger setup and whatnot. So compared to maybe at 15 yards, I was getting maybe like a group like that. So I went from that to like this. So that's cool, but I mean, you know, how much does that matter in the practical application of a self-defense shooting? I would say it's marginal, but if you're trying to be surgical, if you're trying to be extremely precise, I would say, yeah, it might matter a little bit. So anyway, that's just the update on the trigger. My group's definitely improved. I'll put a photo up here of my 15-yard target. I basically shot the whole center out. I have a couple flyers because at a certain point I was doing so good, I'm like, I'm going to speed this up and see what I do. And yeah, I pulled a couple out of what exactly I was aiming at, but still, you're looking at a 10 by 12 standard paper, and all of my rounds are hitting that at 15 yards, even if I'm rushing my shots. So that's still pretty decent, right? And if I'm trying to be surgical, I could hit that little silhouette all day. So anyway, the trigger upgrade that I did to it, I would consider it an upgrade, but I wouldn't consider it a mandatory, like, you need to do this kind of an upgrade. Now, the wear on this pistol. I am a man who enjoys wear on a pistol. For me, if you have wear on your pistol, if your pistol's worn, or even a rifle for that matter, if it's worn out and stuff, you know, you can see the high levels are getting a little scraped up and whatever. To me, that's a badge of honor. That is a badge of honor, because to me, if I see somebody with a brand new, especially something that's Cerakoted, or this has kind of like a, I forget the exact finish it's called. I really don't know. Maybe it is Cerakote. I don't know, but it basically has like an AR finish. So if you rub it, yeah, it's going to rub off. It's not like a polished like an M&P or a Glock type of finish. It's not really like that. It's not as durable, but it is kind of cool because this gun will wear on you, and give it kind of that look if you get out there and train with it. But like I was saying, guys, if I see somebody with like a pistol or a rifle that's like brand spanking new looking, you know, no dings, no scratches, no buffs, no character, I know you don't train with it, you know. So I'm not going to look down on you, but I know you don't train with it. So if you try and tell me you do, I'm going to be like, well, you're lying. But so anyway, I do enjoy wear on the pistol, but I will say the main culprit of all this sort of stuff here is definitely the Four Bros holster. Actually, the wear on basically the slide is all due to the holster it's riding in, which is a Four Bros. Now, personally, I don't mind. You know, I don't mind at all. My gun's got character, and it's got character because I train with it and I carry it and I use it and all that sort of stuff. So it's been riding in this Four Bros holster since the day I got it. We're going on about 4 months now. I think this holster right here has gotten over 10,000 views on my channel. So there's that. But I don't know. I liked the way this holster looked. It kind of looked like there's a movie. It's like District 7, I think it is, like South American movie with like aliens and shit. Chappie is another example of that. But anyway, it had that kind of look to it, kind of that like weird alien sort of look to it with these holes and the clips being the way they are. So aesthetically, I really liked it. But I will say it is bulky. It's bulkier than it should be, than it needs to be. But I will say the main selling point on this is without a doubt the clips here. I love these clips, and if I get a new holster and I could transfer these clips onto that holster, I'm 100% going to do that because I love these clips. They're very aggressive. These clips are not going to come off accidentally. Your holster is not going to come off accidentally. So if you hook it right, this is a very, very, very effective claw to hold onto your belt, which is perfect for me. So I did cant it a little bit. I know that I haven't seen much of the cant lately. I haven't heard anybody. Everybody's appendix carry now. I tried it. I hate it. I think it's stupid. You can't bend over. You can't pick anything up off the ground. So apparently everybody that appendix carries never drops anything. So anyway, I put this on my side, and to keep my pistol grip from poking out the back, what I do is I cant it so that the pistol grip is going up instead of backwards. So anyway, it covers it very, very well. I am in search for a better holster than this. So any recommendations anybody has, feel free to throw them in the comment section, and I'll probably follow up on them, because this holster is an okay holster. It's good. It does the job. But I know that there's more compact, sleek holsters out there, and I'm looking for as low profile as possible. And this, it does the job, but I know that there's better stuff out there. Let's see, what else here? So 1,300 rounds. How's my equipment holding up? Well, first and foremost, I will say is that every single time I come back from the range, what I do is I get my torque screwdriver and I torque these down again. Now, they are Loctited in there, but just in case they're backing off a micro whatever, if they're backing up at all, like any amount at all, what I do is I go ahead, I give them 3 clicks just to make sure that they're still seated properly. So that's good. I'll give this a little shake to see if I have any play in there, and I do not. So I'll always just tighten these up. Now, even if I don't tighten them up, don't tighten them up at all, I still give them 3 clicks just to make sure that they're properly seated. And then I also tighten this up as well. I have actually a little tiny little tool thingy that I carry around in my gun bag, and it has a penny in here, and I use the penny to tighten this back up. So every time I come back from the range, I give these screws here 3 clicks, and I give this a nice tighten up, because it always seems to need to be tightened up. Now, this here is a TLR 8AG. Significance of that is that it is a light laser combo, and the cool thing about that, it has these buttons that kind of work their way back, which doesn't give you a big gap in here. Now, I originally had a TLR something, I forget what it was, but it had a big gap between the light and the trigger guard, and I didn't really like that. So I saw a couple guys sporting this on their Hellcats with the way that these buttons here are in the back, and I thought that looks a lot better than the setup I have, so I'm going to get that. So anyway, I changed it out to that, and I have not regretted it. I will say the batteries on these don't last very, very long. I've had some utility flashlight use, a couple of times, and the battery didn't seem to last that long. It died way quicker than I thought it would. But the cool thing about this, when the battery does get low, this turns from what it does now to like a minimum output of, I would say, 100 lumens, if that, which is nice. I wish I had that. I wish I could just choose to go 100 lumens, whenever I want to, unless there's a way to do that, and I don't know how. And if you guys know a way to do that with this light, please inform me. But anyway, it'd be cool because, it's one thing when you're using the gun for work or for duty, you want that bright white light, but sometimes you want not so much light, especially if you're laying in bed, you hear a bump in the night, you wake up out of a sound sleep. The last thing you want is bright lights, right? So plus your vision is already acclimated to the dark because your eyes have been closed for how long. So the last thing you need is a lot of light. So to turn this down to maybe 100 lumens would be freaking excellent, because it's going to light up everything within my room, within my hallways, basically within my entire house, with my eyes already be adjusted for the light, for the darkness, I should say. So I will say that the light is bright. It's about 500 lumens. But the cool thing is I do have a light laser combo. So as you can see, I already did this. So you see the flashlight, you also see the laser, but you can adjust it to where you only have the flashlight. You see there's no more laser. You only have the laser. As you can see, there's only a laser. And this is where my cats start coming around. So as you can see, you can obviously do a flashlight and a laser. So that's cool. So anyway, you can alternate between the 3 combinations with this light. Now, one thing I will say when it comes to lasers, I've always been, until maybe about a year or 2 ago, I've always kind of been like, lasers are stupid. You know, they're gimmicky, they're the tactical bullshit thing. But I will say that I do have a laser on my duty gun for work. I'm still a part-time police officer. I was full-time 5 years, now I'm part-time because I got a new job. And that's why I bought this gun. Anyway, so on my duty pistol, I have a red laser, and I never really used it. I've had my gun out many times. I never really used my laser. But I did have an incident not long ago. And basically what it was is there was this truck driver in a trucking parking lot, and somebody called the police on him because he was carrying around a pistol, and he was threatening other drivers with it, basically telling them, I'm going to blow your fucking brains out, blah, blah, blah. So we get this call, we shoot up to the truck stop, and, you know, the dispatcher's only telling us about a gold truck. So we're looking for a gold truck, gold truck, gold truck. So we finally find the gold truck. We pull up on it. We get out. And then the guy in the truck is like, he's behind you, he's behind you, he's behind you. So it was the gold truck driver that was the reporting party, the RP. So he wasn't the guy that we really needed to pay much attention to. The guy threatening people with the gun was behind us, was like, you know, whatever. So anyway, I get out of the car and I hear, he's behind you, he's behind you. And I'm like, where's he at? Where's he at? So out comes my pistol. I come up on, you know, it wasn't this pistol, but out comes my pistol, and I come up on him, and I'm searching because there's all these trucks lined up. And I'm like, shit, which one is he? He's like, he's in the truck, he's in that one there. I'm like, well, what truck? You know, because there's like 8 trucks, right? So I'm like, shit, which truck? And I'm not pointing my gun at the trucks, but I'm kind of like, I'm kind of at low ready, and I'm scanning, and I'm looking, and I'm like, where's the threat? What the fuck's where? So anyway, we finally figure out which truck he's in, and I got my, you know, my other hand with my flashlight in it, and I got my duty pistol up, and I'm looking, I'm like, where's he at? So finally we see this dude. I didn't see him at first, but I saw his curtains. And his curtains were waving. So I'm like, and they're like, he just went into the back. He just went into the back of his truck. He just went into the back of his truck. And I'm like, okay, so I see the curtains. My partner sees the curtains. And then he comes out from behind the curtains. And, you know, then we're like, okay, well, whatever, game time. So up come the pistols. You know, get out of the truck. Let us see your hands. Let us see your hands. Get out of the truck. Get out of the truck. Let us see your hands. And so we're going back and forth, and he's yelling at us. I don't know what he's saying. But, you know, he's, you know, yelling at us. And so then he disappears behind the curtains again. And I'm like, son of a bitch, dude. Like, is this dude not going to come out of the truck? Like, are we just going to have a fucking standoff now? Is he going to kill himself in there? Is he going to, you know, try and bait us into going after him and then shoot us point blank, you know, when we get to the truck? Like, God damn it. So then like I don't know, maybe like 5 long seconds later, he comes back out from the back of the truck. And, you know, now he's yelling and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, get out of the truck. Let me see your hands. Get out of the truck. Let me see your hands. Get out of the truck. Blah, blah, blah. So he finally gets out of the truck. Well, so he's there and he's like yelling and yelling and yelling. And then I remember, I'm like, hey, I got a flashlight. So I'm still holding my offhand flashlight. And I'm like, huh, I have a flashlight and a laser on my duty pistol. So I put my flashlight away. I come up 2 hands on the actual gun. I put my light and my laser, you know, on the dude, and we go back and forth maybe a couple more seconds or so, and I remember seeing him look down, and I think he realized that there was a laser on the center of his chest, and then he started complying. And I had this similar situation where I've had my gun out 2 separate times, and I did employ my laser 2 separate times. This truck incident was the second time. There was another time I did it, and right then and there it clicked. I'm like, wait a minute. It seems like when they see the laser on their chest, they start acting right. You know what I mean? Like, now they're, like, it's one thing to have a gun pointed at you or in your direction, but if you're not 100% certain that, you know, they're dead on, you might still misbehave, you know, where you might still have people misbehave. So I'm like, okay. So I put my laser on him. He started, and then when he came out of the truck, when we finally got him handcuffed and, you know, got the scene under control, he told me flat out, he's like, man, I wasn't going to comply at all, man, you know, but, you know, I wasn't going to listen to you fuckers at all. But, you know, when I saw that laser on my chest, man, I just sunk. And I'm like, huh. I'm like, there's something to that laser. So I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? People very well may misbehave and still act a fool when they have a gun pointed at them. But when they have a laser on their chest, there's something psychological about that. And for a civilian, the application for a civilian is, say you have a trespasser, or say you have somebody in your house, like a burglar, or whatever the case may be. If you can shine your laser on somebody with your pistol and have them comply or start acting right or come to Jesus, then that's great, because then you don't have to shoot them. Now, this is YouTube, so I'll just keep that all to myself. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, if you put a laser on them and they start acting right, then great, because now you don't have all the court shit to go through. You don't have all that legal bullshit to deal with, because you didn't have to shoot somebody because your laser kept that idiot alive, right? So anyway, I recommend a laser. I recommend a light. A light, number one, because you want to be able to identify your target. You want to be able to see in the dark. And a laser, basically, just because there's that psychological aspect. But not only that, say you don't have enough time to line your sights up properly, you can just go ahead and implement that laser and revert to like active or reactive shooting. And I will say that this flashlight or this camera does not do the light justice, because the beam looks very dim on camera. The laser looks very dim on camera, but the beam is a white light, and the laser itself is very, very distinguishable. So it doesn't really wash out. I know when I get kind of closer, it kind of washes out. You see how you cannot see it now, but as I pull it away, you can see it. Even up close in the daytime, you could still see it. So the laser is very, very bright. I highly recommend that. Moving on to the optic. The optic I'm still getting used to. I'm 33 years old. I'm an old man. And so my entire life, I started shooting pistols when I was like 15, 16, right? And it's always been iron sights for me. So when I come up, I find myself maybe like 2 or 3 times out of 10, like if I'm coming out cold from the holster, I do find myself very commonly looking for that front sight and not so much my dot. So I kind of have to get used to that, and I try and train with it, you know. But again, this is the only pistol I have that has an optic. So I do switch back and forth between my M&P 2.0 when I work my police job, and then I have this pistol here that basically is with me 99% of the time. So I do still go back and forth, so I'm not 100% trained to just look for the dot. I have way more experience on iron sights, so that front sight is always something that I'm trying to pick up still, even though I have an optic. But this optic that I do have is a Holosun HE40K, I'm sorry, 407K GR X2. GR is basically just saying that it's a green dot, GR, green, and the X2 is basically meaning that it's a 2 MOA dot. So the cool thing about the 2 MOA dot, I see people debate between 1 MOA dot, 2 MOA dot. Hear me out. A 2 MOA dot means it's going to cover 2 inches at 100 yards. Your front sight is probably going to cover a foot at 100 yards, right? If not more. So your 2 MOA dot, okay, covers 2 inches at 100 yards. Now we cut that in half. So now we're at 50 yards, it covers 1 inch. We're at 25 yards, it covers a half an inch. We're at 12.5 yards, it covers a quarter inch. So nobody I know has quarter inch groupings. So using that logic, the 2 MOA dot is a perfect dot for a pistol. I mean, a 3 or 4 MOA dot is probably just as good too. So these people like, oh no, you need the 1 MOA dot because the 1 MOA dot is more accurate. All right, maybe for a rifle, sure, but for a pistol, it's all nonsense. So I'm not saying you need a huge dot, but the 2 MOA dot is a very good dot. All right, so I highly recommend it. Plus, it goes with my little alien-themed pistol here. And I do have questions from time to time. People will ask me, you know, how did you do this? Well, if you'll... hang on. So, I don't have a green paint pen with me right here. But basically, there's these pens called paint pens. And I got a neon green one as well. This one's yellow. I have a neon green one. And you open up the top, and it's basically just like a marker. So you want to squish this, and then the paint gets absorbed by that spongy material, and you can basically paint stuff. You could basically use it as a marker, but get paint on stuff. So anyway, what I do is I take that and I dabble it. I dot, 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 dot. And the reason that I dot it and dab it is so it squishes the air out of the pockets. So that way the paint gets in all of the creases, all of the nicks and crannies in there. So I cover all that, and I cover this whole thing. Like, you cannot see the letters when I'm done. I literally just dot all around it, get it real messy, get it real soupy. You should not be able to see the letters. And then I let it sit there for about 10 minutes or so, let it dry. And then what I'll do is I'll take Hops No. 9 solvent with a Q-tip and soak the Q-tip in Hops No. 9. And then I'll just take the Q-tip itself and I'll just go back and forth over this real lightly. You don't want to go too hard, because then you'll take the paint out of the letters. So you want to go real light and just take off the top layer of paint until you start seeing the letters. And then you take a, what is it, like an oily rag or something, and you just wipe it clean until, you know, there's no more wetness or whatever there. And then you might have to do that a couple more times just to get all the excess paint off of it. But that's basically what I do there. And as you can see, it's a very effective way to do it, because it even gets in all of those little details there, which is kind of cool. So yeah, so that's how I do that. There's really nothing to it. You know, so I did that with my, well, actually, you know what? I just so happen to have my duty rifle sitting right here. So I did that with the orange paint pen, where I basically did the same thing here and highlighted the little lettering there. I'm trying to see if I did it anywhere else on the pistol, on the rifle. Oh yeah, I did. So I did it up here too, the BCM Rifle Company. I did it with the safety and semi stuff. So yeah, I just kind of accented it a little orangish there. Yeah, so that's the paint. I get questions about the paint all the time. Let's see here. So the flashlight / laser, the optic. Talked about the sights. I talk about the sights all the time. The actual physical sights, the front sight, rear sight, I like them a lot. I have not changed them out for optic height sights, because I really like these sights. So I'm kind of holding out hope that one day somebody will make these exact sights, but just raise them up a little bit so that I can co-witness through my optic. That would be great. Now, I can lollipop it a little bit. So like, basically, if I get my front sight up there, I know that I'm going to be hitting just above my front sight, but it's nothing really. I mean, I could dip it real low and lollipop it like that and be fairly accurate, but again, it's more of an approximation. You don't know exactly where your round's heading. I know with my laser and with my optic itself, that's exactly where I'll be hitting, basically anywhere from, I'd say about 7 yards out to 25 yards, probably even further than that, point of aim, point of impact. But yeah, so anyway, those sights, if I can get them, same ones, just a little bit higher, that'd be freaking awesome. I'm trying to think of what else, guys. 1,300 rounds, 3 malfunctions. I will say that the ammo that I use on the day-to-day basis, my everyday carry ammo, is this Hornady 115 grain XTP. But I will say I'm looking for better stuff. I'm looking basically for stuff that doesn't crimp, and I have a couple of sample rounds here to show you what I'm talking about. And there's not only 3 of them, there's a whole bunch of them in there. Like, I have a whole magazine full of these crap freaking ammo. So for some reason the shells they just want to crimp around the projectile. I'm trying to find, oh, so there's one for you. You can see kind of how the light's bending there. It kind of shows you the divot. It's just like right here where my nail is, right there. They just do that, and I freaking hate it. It's like, for almost $1 a round, I should not have this sort of an issue with my ammunition. This one's doing it probably worse than, well, this is the worst of the 3 for sure. Why can't I focus? This is the worst of the 3 for sure. But it's just, I don't know why this ammo does that shit. It's expensive stuff, and it's not that great quality, you know. It doesn't hold up in magazines very well. So anyway, I'm looking for ammo that does not do that. As far as I know, Spear Gold Dot. There's this other Federal stuff that I use for my M&P that doesn't do that, but I don't really like 124 grain. I don't like 147 grain out of this particular pistol. I like 115 grain, so I'm trying to stick with 115 grain. So I'm still kind of searching for ammo that doesn't do that. That's 115 grain. So the reason that I picked this ammo anyhow is because I was at the range when I first got this pistol. The first stuff I put through this was PMC jacketed hollow point ammo, brass case, hollow points. So that was good ammo. The problem with it is that it didn't burn all of its flash off before it got out of my barrel here. So when I was shooting it out of this, I just had a big flash every time I fired a round, and I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. That's annoying. So I got a couple different types of ammunition, and that day, this was the only kind of ammo that wasn't flashing on me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy 3 boxes of this and then just kind of, you know, train with 115 grain and use this as my everyday. But I'm still looking for better stuff. I don't like this. I don't like Hornady ammo at all. I think Hornady is way overrated, especially for its price. It's ridiculous. Because again, I always have problems with Hornady ammo. It's the most expensive shit out there, and it doesn't live up to its hype. It jams, it crimps, it looks like shit. So, yeah. And I know somebody out there is going to try and correct me in the comments, but that's been my experience for years and years and years and years. So, that's my data. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. So, again, I'm looking for better defense ammo. I want something that doesn't flash. I want something that doesn't crimp. It's basically that simple. 200 rounds yesterday of all this stuff here. 0 malfunctions out of 1,300 rounds. I've had 3 malfunctions. 2 of those malfunctions did not surprise me. 1 of them did. And now, since I got my trigger upgrade thing here, again, I'm pulling real nice. I'm pulling at like just above 5 pounds. So yeah, now when I first, real quick, I don't know if I said this already, so I'm just going to say it real fast. When I first put my new springs and sear in there, I was pulling at like 7 pounds before I put it in there. So after I put it in there, I was pulling at like 4.5. And ever since, you know, I put my 200 rounds through, now I'm pulling at like, very consistently, I'm pulling at 5 pounds. So there you go. So I went from a 7-pound trigger to a 5-pound trigger. That's pretty decent for me. Pretty decent. My group's tightened up and all that. But anyway, guys, that's it for me. I'm pretty sure I covered everything that I wanted to cover on this. I know it's a long video, but I wanted to make sure that I put a lot of information in here that I have been neglecting in my last few videos. I know my first 1 or 2 with the Hellcat, I covered a lot of stuff. And then my my videos after that, I left out a bunch of stuff. I just kind of covered strictly the new stuff, but this 1,300 round update, I wanted to make sure that I covered I wanted to kind of make sure I regrouped all of that information into one video, and this is that video, and that's why it's so long. I might not do a 1500 round update, but I will do a 2000 round update because I will get to 2000 rounds. So I don't know when that will come, but make sure you subscribe to the channel because that'll definitely be coming out in the future. I just don't know when. But if you want to see that 2000 round update with the Hellcat Pro, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that all button so that you see when I put it out there. And basically the next video that I'm working on, I'm still working on it. I did all the filming, but I'm just not happy with the end result. There's a lot of editing that needs to go into it. But basically my next kind of series is going to be a journey of 1,000 rounds with a Ruger 1022. Matter of fact, give me 1 second. And this is that Ruger in question that we're going to be covering. I did talk about this before, but I'm not going to get into any crazy information about this just yet. Because again, I'm working on a video and I covered a lot of it, but I'm going to be doing a 1,000 round series with this rifle. There are some upgrades that I want to get for it. There's some adventure I want to do with it, and I'm going to basically do a couple of episodes. It'll be a series with the Ruger 1022, 1,000 rounds. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you want to see the Ruger 1022 videos and whatnot, like, subscribe, hit that all button. But anyway, guys, that is it for today. Y'all stay safe, stay smart, and I'll talk to you all next time. Blue Line Patriot, signing out. Thanks for watching, guys. Before you go, I want to let you know about my 2 stores. The links are in the description below. If you like tactical, survival, anti-woke stuff, this is the place for you. I have lots of t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, paracord wristbands, and keychains that make for great gifts or your own personal gear. Look cool or just troll the soy boys with Blue Line Patriot swag. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay up to date with my content. But above all, stay safe, stay smart. Blue Line Patriot, out.